Hey, how the heck are you? So I was listening to Pandora as I was gathering today's news and putting together my, presentation to share with you. And the song that just finished, like Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth. What a perfect song to start this podcast with, because it seems like when I look at the news and what's going on around the world and in the space station, it kind of reminds me of that song, Symphony of Destruction. Wow. People want to take over the world. They want to have, they want to live forever while they take over the world. And hey, I get it. Like, I watched Ren and Stimpy a lot. And, what are we going to do today? Well, what do we do every day? Plan on taking over the world, right? So, very interesting news to share with you. And I appreciate you being here. I hope you're doing amazing. First of all, did you read the New York Post where an Iranian general threatened to cut off Trump's hand over potential strikes? That wasn't a very good idea. But also in other news, so you remember yesterday when I reported the astronauts returned from the space station, the first time in 25 years that they returned early because one of them was allegedly sick. And now I've heard reports that one of them might be pregnant. Well, how about this? SciTech Daily, strange new side of viral evolution on the ISS. We're going to talk about that. And an ex-CIA spy who lied, according to the article, urges Trump to expose a Biden Havana Syndrome cover-up. Homeland Security has information on this. So we're going to look into it. And we've got a lot to talk about. NATO, Greenland, Denmark, Italy, Germany, Iran, Venezuela. Buckle up, Buttercups. Let's go. And I would like to thank today's sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. So I've been promoting Noble Gold now for 6 years, maybe now longer than that, more like 8 or 9 years. And huge fan of gold and silver and platinum and precious metals. And if you're over 40 and you're planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets, with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios. Right now may be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com today. Let them know Rex from Leak Project sent you. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, tons of 5-star reviews. And if you call them and you convert your 401 IRA, if you qualify, find out how. They will gift you a 3-ounce American Virtues Independence silver round at no additional cost. Just let them know, say, hey, Rex from Leak Project sent me. I want to get one of those 3-ounce coins. How do I do it? And they will share that with you. It's very easy. And also, they're giving out free protection wealth kits. They have great prices on gold and silver and platinum and precious metals as well, a la carte. Take advantage of the opportunities. And let's get into the news right now. All right. I have headlines. I promise. Here we go. Yeah. This is the first article that I wanted to share with you. Let's jump right to it. So what are you up to today? Check this out. Astronauts return to Earth after first ever medical evacuation from the space station. I mean, you can read about it, The Guardian, BBC, NBC, ABC, it's all over. But this was the article that I wanted to share with you because I started thinking, I was like, what really happened at the space station? Who's really sick? Is somebody really sick? Were they doing experiments out there with viruses and one of them just like totally mutated? If you go to SciTech Daily, strange new side of viral evolution revealed on the International Space Station. Let's read about this a little bit. Viruses that infect bacteria can still do their job in microgravity, but space changes the rules of the fight. In a new experiment conducted aboard the International Space Station, scientists found that viruses which infect bacteria can still successfully infect E. coli under near weightless microgravity conditions. While infection still occurred, the interaction between viruses and bacteria unfolded differently than it does on Earth. The research led by Phil Huss of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, USA, was published today, January 13th, in the open access journal PLOS Biology. So do we have some kind of weird evolution of bizarre viruses that have mutated on the space station? You know, I'm thinking to myself, if that's the case, though, and if these astronauts were exposed to this mutation, would they let them come back? Or would they be like, oh, well, there was an accident on the way back from the space station? I don't know. Really, really weird, whatever the case, whatever the circumstances. But we'll keep looking into this. And this was a very bad move, in my opinion. Top Iranian general threatens to cut off Trump's hand over potential military strikes. One of Iran's most senior officials issued a direct threat against President Trump Thursday while warning that U.S. military action would provoke retaliation against American forces across the Middle East, according to Iranian media reports. The remarks came as well-placed sources confirmed to Fox News Digital that at least one American aircraft carrier was being repositioned towards the Middle East amid rising tensions with Tehran. Senior Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps General Mohsen Rezai, a member of Iran's Expeditionary Discernment Council, reportedly made his threat during a public access. My mind's reading it, but my brain's not allowing me to say that word. I don't know why. It's weird. Whatever. Trump has said his hand is on the trigger. We will cut off his hand and his finger, Rezai said, according to Iran International. The outlet also said Rezai maintained that Iran would abandon any notion of a ceasefire if attacked. Am I getting like 5G'd here? What the hell? So, yeah, that's probably going to upset President Trump and the administration more by those remarks. So, yeah, it's going to get nasty out there, folks. It's going to get really, really bad. But this is one of the articles that I thought was very, very interesting. An ex-CIA spy who lied wants Trump to expose horrific Biden Havana Syndrome cover-up. Let's take a look at this. A former top CIA officer has revealed he suffered from the mysterious neurological illness known as Havana Syndrome and wants the Trump administration to expose what he calls the Biden administration's cover-up of debilitating attacks on U.S. personnel. Mark P., a 26-year-old CIA veteran and ex-senior operations chief who signed the infamous Spies Who Lie letter about Hunter Biden's laptop during the 2020 election campaign, told the Post that the 46th president administration perpetrated one of the worst intelligence scandals of modern times. The cover-up was horrific, Polly Meropoulos said. So we can find more information about this directly from Homeland Security, House.gov. Homeland Republicans investigate reports of Havana Syndrome device acquired by DHS under the Biden administration. This week, House Committee on Homeland Security Chairman Andrew Garbarino, Republican of New York, led committee members in sending a letter to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, probing news reports that suggest Homeland Security investigations purchased a device allegedly linked to anomalous health incidents, also referred to as Havana Syndrome under the Biden administration. Co-signers of the letter include Subcommittee on Border Security and Enforcement Chairman Michael Guest, Subcommittee on Transportation and Maritime Security Chairman Carlos Gimenez. Subcommittee on Counterterrorism and Intelligence Chairman August Luger. Subcommittee on Oversight Investigations and Accountability Chairman Josh Brechin. Anyway, the chairman requests a detailed explanation of the procurement process used to acquire the device, the final dollar amount paid for it, the result of the year-long testing period, and what specific operational or analytical purpose DHS had for acquiring the device. I want to know what the hell this thing is. What type of frequency is it emitting? How much power is it using? Is it a directed energy weapon that can fit on somebody's table? I mean, is it about the size of like this? I mean, is it the size of a phone? Is it the size of a cannon? What does it look like? How do they use it? Give us the details. I want information. This is very, very important, especially for those that have been affected by this technology. This could prove without a shadow of a doubt that those people that were harmed by this technology, well, maybe it'll give them, by verifying this technology, maybe it will give them the resources they need to improve and heal. I mean, it could be brain damage. This thing could literally damage people's brains and cognitive abilities. And the side effects that people claim are horrific. So I definitely think that we need to figure out what this is and how to protect ourselves from this type of technology, especially in sensitive areas like embassies in different nations. Very important. Here is a map from Newsweek showing where some people have experienced the Havana Syndrome. And then if you do another search on it, we've got Cuba. In Europe, we've got Vienna, Moscow, Germany, Poland, Serbia, Switzerland, France, UK, Georgia. In Asia, we've got China, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Vietnam, India, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Taiwan, Colombia, within the United States as well, near the White House, Northern Virginia. Reports have also emerged from Australia. My question is, if they can use this technology clandestinely to affect special agents, secret agents, and politicians and military personnel inside of embassies, could they not use this same technology during large crowds, during protests, during speeches? And how do you protect people from this technology, especially when you're out in the open? And if it's so clandestine and so hard to see and so easy to hide, this is a really big deal. Symptoms often follow a loud noise or sudden pressure, including dizziness, headaches, nausea, cognitive issues, hearing, vision problems. Many cases have been attributed to stress or other causes. Yeah, sure. I'm sure that it does cause stress. Well, it was the stress that caused his brain to explode. It had nothing to do with this technology, sir. It was just the stress of the job. Now, while the CIA has investigated many reports finding new definitive foreign actor links, a small number of unexplained cases persist, with continued focus on Russia and other potential actors. We'll keep you posted. Trump refuses to rule out leaving NATO over Greenland tussle. Can he legally do that? Does it really matter if he can legally do that? He might do it anyway. Let's look at what's happened in the past 6 months. I don't think that their biggest concern is legality issues. I'm just saying. After talks between the Greenland and Denmark foreign ministers and U.S. officials on Wednesday yielded no results, President Donald Trump was met with questions as to what his next steps might be. Talking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump, who continues to ramp up pressure on Greenland in his desires to annex the territory, refused to rule out the option of leaving NATO. Greenland is very important for the national security, said Trump, doubling down on his argument about the Kingdom of Denmark territory. He went on to say the U.S. cannot rely on Denmark to protect Greenland from Russian and Chinese interests, and warned that he has many options to explore. You found that out last week with Venezuela, said Trump, referencing the operation that resulted in the capture and detainment of the fallen Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife. So we'll keep you posted. Trump issues stern warning to NATO ahead of Vance's high-stakes Greenland meeting. Italy urges NATO to coordinate in Arctic as Greenland tensions escalate. I liked how Germany was like, well, you know what? We're going to send 13 troops over to Greenland just to let you know everything's okay and we've got it all under control. Because there's 13 of us out there. I mean, dude, we got this. We're like 300, but we're 13. I mean, yeah, that's going to do the trick. And this is very interesting. So in the UK, why would they do this unless they are expecting a potential conflict that could be extreme? Major boost to pool of skilled former military personnel called upon in crisis as UK strengthen preparedness. This is directly from the government.uk. The Armed Forces Bill would grow the pool of former service personnel who defense could draw on in times of crisis in a move welcomed by senior military leaders. New measures are being introduced through the Armed Forces Bill to strengthen the UK's strategic reserve. Now, they want to raise the age from 55 to 65. Think about that. The maximum age for call from 55 to 65. Wow. Align the time for which recall applies across all three services. Lower the threshold for recall so that reservists can be recalled for warlike preparations, in addition to the current requirement for national danger, great emergency, or attack on the UK. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. But you know what? The news is going to promote a lot more about the football game or the soccer game, or actually this. Did you see this? Check this. No, that's not the one I wanted to show you. Where's it at? Yeah. College basketball players among 26 charged by the FBI in connection with point shaving, fixing outcome of games. The FBI claims more than 29 games were fixed in 2023 and 2024 and 2024 and 2025. It's one of the biggest gambling conspiracies in American sports history. That's going to make more news than the UK changing the requirements of military personnel. I mean, 65? I know people that are great grandpas at 65. And I also know people that can still kick my ass on a mountain bike at 65. I'm just saying, like, everybody's different. But that's a pretty big deal. I don't know if that's going to make much news. In other news, speaking of potential conflict, 4,000 U.S. soldiers deploy to Norway for Arctic exercise. So all this talk about Greenland and annexing Greenland and leaving NATO, but we're still running exercises with NATO. The United States is not drawing down its forces training with NATO allies inside the Arctic Circle amid turmoil over Trump's threats to seize control of Greenland. The upcoming Cold Response 2026 will be the largest military exercise in Norway in 2026, with an estimated 20 to 25,000 participants from more than 10 countries. There will be about 4,000 U.S. soldiers, said spokesperson Vegard Norstad Finnberg, with the Norwegian Armed Forces when asked by the Barents Observer. The live phase of the exercise, which will train how quickly Allied troops can be dispatched to protect the northern regions of Norway and Finland, kicks off March 9 and will last for 10 days. The U.S. troops will, for the most, operate on land in northern Norway. This is primarily near the Norwegian Army's garrisons in Troms. Interesting. And in other news, not good news, Kansas bird flu outbreak is worst in nation. The H5 bird flu is widespread in wild birds worldwide and is causing outbreaks in poultry in the U.S. dairy cows, with sporadic human cases in U.S. dairy and poultry workers, according to CDC. In Topeka, Kansas, or reporting from Topeka, Kansas is suffering from the worst outbreak of highly pathogenic avian influenza, in the country, with nearly 414,000 birds affected, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. HPAI, an umbrella term for aviation or avian influenza that includes highly contagious strains such as H5 and H7, is considered a low public health risk, although it can pass to humans through birds and dairy products from infected cattle, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Well, get ready for chicken prices to go up and egg prices to go up. In other news, the U.S. housing crisis, banks repossessed 367,000 homes as the job market wobbles. In total, the U.S. added only around 584,000 jobs in 2025, making it the weakest year for job growth outside a recession since 2003. Well, yeah, I mean, I remember the whole pandemic, and I was watching prices out here in Colorado just like skyrocket. The prices of houses out here in Southern Colorado and Pagosa like went up insane amounts. Rent prices went up crazy. House prices went up crazy. And then the interest rates went nuts. And now people are sitting on $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 mortgages, which is taking up half, 3/4 of their income. And they're like, screw this. We're out of here. We're not going to be forced in a 30, like, anyway, it's just amazing to me how much the economy and the market has changed since 2020. You couldn't even find houses in 2020 out here in Southern Colorado, 2021, 2022. And what was available was crap and totally overpriced. And now I'm looking at the market, and every time I pull up the real estate market out here in Southern Colorado, I'm looking at these prices continue to fall, but they're still way too high. So anyway, Japan knows what's going on. Japan gold reserves rose to a record 120 billion in 2025, which is up 60% year over year. And this is the Kobayashi letter. Gold reserves now reflect 9% of Japan's total reserve assets. Wow. And that's over doubled since 2022. Meanwhile, the country's FX reserves are up to 1.17 trillion, which is the highest since 2021. As a result, total reserve assets are up 1.37 trillion, also the highest since 2021. This comes as Japan is now the largest foreign holder of U.S. treasuries at 1.2 trillion, the highest since July of 2022. Gold is boosting reserve assets worldwide. Here's the chart. So this is from Kobayashi letter on X. And in other news, China says their military is developing over 10 quantum warfare weapons. Wow. People's Liberation Army says it's working on advanced technology to provide better frontline mapping. What is 10? Like, what does that even mean? Let's do a search on this. What are quantum weapons? Quantum warfare weapons. Let's take a look at this. Utilizing quantum cyber tools to extract high-value military intelligence from public digital infrastructure and open-source cyberspace. Processing vast volumes of complex battlefield data within seconds to allow commanders to allocate resources and make decisions faster than conventional systems. Developing quantum sensing and radar systems supported by mass-produced photon catchers, first reported in late 2025, capable of detecting stealth aircraft that evade traditional radar. Creating highly accurate positions with navigation systems that are resistant to electronic jamming or spoofing, integrating multiple domain data into a single operational framework to provide a real-time unified map of the conflict zone. You know, I'm thinking about this, and there was an article that I just read that said China's technology, radar technology, it completely failed when the U.S. went into Venezuela and captured Maduro. It did no good. So if that's the technology they're using and they're calling that quantum technology that can detect stealth, I think that we're missing something here. Just went over this about how college basketball players are among 26 charged by the FBI in connection with point shaving and fixing outcomes of games. And then this is interesting. So speaking of nanobots and nanotechnology, I've been talking about this for like 20 years almost now. Nanobots, save every one of us. World's smallest programmable robot fits on a fingerprint ridge and carries its own computer. A fleet of autonomous bots smaller than a grain of salt, and they cost a penny each. Look at this. Now imagine these things working together, and you're in a smart city that has 5G and 6G throughout the city. Wherever you go, you're getting blasted with these frequencies. I wonder if 5G and 6G, hell, maybe even 4G and 3G could manipulate and maneuver and move these microbots, these nanobots. Let's take a look at this. This is directly from Penn Engineering. Penn and Michigan create world's smallest programmable autonomous robots. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania and University of Michigan have created the world's smallest fully programmable autonomous robots, microscopic swimming machines that can independently sense and respond to their surroundings, operate for months, and cost just a penny each. Barely visible to the naked eye, each robot measures about 200 to 300 by 50 micrometers, smaller than a grain of salt. Operating at the scale of many biological microorganisms, the robots could advance medicine by monitoring the health of individual cells and manufacturing by helping construct micro-scale devices. Imagine if these were used in warfare, or if they figured out a way to use these for some type of surveillance technology. Or you could create create a fog. So if they're a penny each, if you spend $1 million on these, that's 1 million times 100, so 100 million. So you'd have 100 million of these things. For $1 million, you could have 100 million microscopic robots that work together. I wonder what you could do with that. You could use this like transformers. Imagine this. So, hey, what's up, Kat? Good to see you. Hey, everybody. Hold on. I haven't even been in the chat yet, so I'm looking to see who's all here. Well, we got a few people here. We have the cool people are here. Can you believe we've got 100 people in the live chat? Can you send a notification out, please, to our subscribers? Can you do that? Like, do I have to send you flowers and chocolates to send out notifications to our subscribers that hit the bell for all notifications and hardly ever get notifications? 100 people. Interesting. I guess people aren't interested in Havana Syndrome or viruses that mutate on the space station or potential war with, leaving NATO. I guess people have other things. It's cool. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I guess I'm freaking that boring now. Am I that boring? Sorry. I'm sorry. I get aggravated when I just, wow. Well, Rex, we sent out notifications to 0.00001% of your subscribers, and we thought you'd be happy about that. We sent it out to the cool ones. So that's all that matters. Anyway, these robots can be powered by light, carry microscopic computers, and can be programmed to move in complex patterns, sense local temperatures, and adjust their paths accordingly. I could definitely see how these could be used in the medical field. Described in Science Robotics and Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the robots operate without tethers, magnetic fields, or joystick-like control from the outside, making them the first truly autonomous programmable robots at this scale, and they cost a penny a piece. Imagine 1 million of these things that you launch out into the battlefield, and then you could create these fields and these computer programs that would allow them to be like transformers. They could turn into transformer technology. You could have Megatron out there. Megatron. You could have these, the what are they called? Not the Cinobots. That's Hellraiser. The Decepticons. These things could be like the Decepticons, but at a micro level. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, what we could do is we could, never mind. I'm not going to say it. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit shaded here. I shouldn't. In other news, ICE's detainee population reaches new record high of 73,000 as crackdown widens. The number of detainees in U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody has reached a new record high, surpassing 70,000 for the first time in the deportation agency's 23-year history, according to internal Department of Homeland Security data obtained by CBS News. As of Thursday, ICE was holding about 73,000 individuals facing deportation in its custody across the country, the highest level recorded by the agency, and an 84% increase from the same time in 2025, when its detention population hovered below 40,000, the internal statistics show. Well, it's going to get more. It's going to get a lot bigger than that. In other news, death of man at ICE camp could be investigated as homicide after examiners report. Washington Post reports local medical examiner found asphyxia to be cause of Geraldo Lunas Campos' death. That sucks. And in other news, Trump and Schumer hold rare White House meeting. The top Senate Democrat used the meeting call to discuss a home state transportation project to raise ICE and healthcare. I wonder what that was like, because these guys don't seem to be very friendly towards each other. So that would have been fun to have been a fly on the wall and actually watch the meeting between these two. Very, very interesting. And you know how the rich is all like the super, super rich. They're like, you eat the bugs and you like it. You'll eat the bugs, you'll like it. You'll have no air conditioning. You will recycle all of your clothes. And in the near future, you will eat yourself, because we will take stem cells from your body and you can make food out of your stem cells. And that way we can be sufficient and we can be good on the environment. Well, the world's richest 1% have already used their fair share of emissions for 2026, says Oxfam. The richest 1% took 10 days, while wealthiest 0.1 needed just 3 days to exhaust annual carbon budget, study shows. Have you noticed they don't talk about, greenhouse gas and, climate change as much anymore because data centers are getting so popular? No, now it's, you're going to have to spend more money on your electric bill because we have data centers that are going to take all your information and they're going to create a credit score based, a social credit score based upon what you post on social media, and everything that you've ever said is going to be recorded. Everything you've ever said is going to be recorded and uploaded into these data centers. And we're going to use that information against you. We're also going to use that information to sell you stuff. And we're going to use that information to put you in a certain strategic number, like, oh, that person is a number 5. Oh, that person's a number 9. And each number that goes up, like it'll be a scale from probably 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. Each number that it goes up, it deems you more of a potential threat socially, of course. Oh, that person thinks for himself. Put him on the ban list. We're going to ban hammer your ass. You thought for yourself. In the near future, we will think for you. The near future is now. 90% of the videos out there, I don't know. I take that back. I don't know what the hell the percentage is, but a large portion of the videos out there that gain traction are complete artificial intelligence bullshit. The videos that get millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views, made up artificial intelligence people making up artificial intelligence scripts. In the near future, people aren't going to be able to think for themselves. They're going to be like, oh, you want me to, I have to chatbot that. I don't know how to think for myself. Hold on. How do I think for myself, chatbot? Well, you think for yourself by unplugging the 5G from your... Oh, that's how I do it. But if I do that, I won't be able to think for myself. We got you covered. Anytime you need anything, just ask us. We're the chatbots. Wow. Anyway, beautiful day. Beautiful day. And you know what? For every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. So there's, think of all the amazing opportunities we have. Yes, we're on the verge of World War III. Yes, they have autonomous robots that are the size of a speck of sand that cost them a penny to create. Yes, we have 73,000 people detained in ICE facilities. It's going to probably get a lot higher than that. Yes, it costs $500,000 now for a tiny little home in Southern Colorado. And then there's 6% interest on top of that. So you're basically paying banks. I mean, whatever. It's exciting. It's all about opportunities, right? Like, things could be a lot worse. We could be in Ukraine. Those poor people in Ukraine are freezing their tails off. So it's all in perspective. It's all in perspective. I think it's pretty awesome out here still. I'm still a huge fan of America. I'm still a huge fan of the United States and the world and people. And you should be too. Why not? Go where your mind, like, your thoughts create your reality. So think good things. I am. But it's fun to talk about some negativity, right? For a minute, to get it off our chest. We feel better. And they're like, oh, we've got all this negative news. So what are we going to do for a solution? What are we going to do to fix that? We need to be problem solvers, not a-holes. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Hit the bell. Be well. Check us out on Rumble and check us out on Patreon. If you subscribe to our Rumble page, it's totally free. They do a pretty good job sending out notifications for our shows, but they usually don't send them out for like 8 hours or a day later, but they usually do. And Patreon, you can be a Patreon for free. We have a ton of free content on Patreon and exclusive content on Patreon, and you will get notifications on our Patreon page. So you might on YouTube, maybe. I don't know. I hope so, because I still love YouTube, and be the change you want to see. Thanks.